Well, it's exactly 6 minutes after 7. You're still here with me on the AM show. Well, in our news, we shared with you the relocation of displaced residents of the old Fadama, that slum here in Accra. And we told you about some of the difficulties and the challenges in the relocation exercise because some of the lands for the resettlements, the owners of those lands are raising some objections. Well, yesterday I sat down with a member of Parliament Select Committee on Local Governments, the Honorable Obi Amwa, who also raised some issues because that committee had visited the Mayor of Accra, Oko Van der Poy, and had a conversation with him. And from his own point of view, he thought that government is confused about this whole exercise. We want to bring you a playback of that conversation. We'll also be touching in detail on that appointment of the new EC boss. So, Honorable Obi Amwa, yesterday you met with the AMA boss. Tell me what happened.
Well, the Committee on Local Government and Rural Development had decided to meet the Minister for Local Government, but we thought we should go to the site, the old Fadama site, where there's been so much to talk about. So we scheduled a meeting with the AMA boss yesterday. We had an extensive meeting with him. He briefed us on what he's been doing and what has gone on. After that, we went to Old Fadama itself. What I say is that it's a tragedy. The tragedy did not happen in the last few days. It's been happening for years. Because if you look at where human beings are settled, you cannot believe it, that this is where we want to allow Ghanaians to stay. And then when we decided that we should move them away, I don't think we've done the best to show that indeed we are complying with the international regulations and protocols and everything. So it's an eye-opener, but it's something that the government itself should be seen to have the will to do it. As of now, it gives me the impression that the government itself is divided and confused. Thankfully, some of us have put in urgent questions. And all things being equal, next week we expect the Finance Minister and Minister for Local Government to come and answer some of these questions.
How about the AMA boss himself?
Well, why I'm saying that the government seems confused is that probably I will add the AMA to it, in the sense that you hear on there the AMA taking a decision, carrying out certain actions, and then the Deputy Minister of Local Government also coming out to say that that is not what they were supposed to have done, the limits to which they could have gone, they exceeded those limits. We hear different. So far, we haven't even heard the local government minister speaking on this matter.
But we've heard his deputy. That should be what he wants to also communicate.
Well, but the deputy reports to the minister. What is government policy on this matter? It's not enough to hear only about AMA, because the matter goes beyond AMA. The matter goes beyond AMA. So what is government's policy on this matter? Thankfully, as I said, the Minister for Local Government will have to come to Parliament to answer some of these questions. But if you hear his deputy speaking, is that the position of government? And the major issue is that if you go to the place, you weep. You weep in the sense that, why have we allowed this thing to go on for almost 20 years? Where is the political will?
Isn't that a question that the opposition should also be answering?
We should. It even shows that probably we did not do enough to, except that if I have to talk for the MPP, the first thing I would say is that as far back as 2001, the government gave notice, a whole year's notice, that that place would have to be demolished for the College project to go on. After 1 year, 2 weeks notice was given. Then there was this court action against the government. The famous Isaidi Abbas and 10 others against AMA. And then, incidentally, the President, Deputy Attorney General, marshaled all the arguments that he could bring up, that the government could not evict those settlers without providing alternative arrangement for them. Eventually, the then High Court Justice Appel, the same Justice Appel, who's a judgment commissioner who's been moved to the Supreme Court, said that the government had every right to carry out the eviction, except that it should be in a humane manner. Somehow, by 2008, this thing had not been carried out, but an alternative site had been secured, saying everything had been prepared, that if you move the traders, a lot will go along with them, and then those still there could then be asked to move because we still needed a site to complete the project. But it became a political issue. We should not hide from it. It became a political issue in the sense that the then opposition said that government was doing this because government felt that those there would not vote for them. That was what happened. I mean, the president, then Flag Bearer Mills, with his team hammered on it every day that these people don't care about you, these people want to take you out of here because you don't vote for them.
So you stopped the legitimate action because of reservations?
Eventually, even within the MPP, then there were cracks. Let's complete everything before we do this so that nobody will accuse us of political bias, which is a legitimate thing. Because here you are, you're saying that that place is not your stronghold. You don't get votes from there, so you want to carry out the thing anyhow, even though the court has given you all the authority to set and prepare a place so that you can move it. Come 2009, a new government comes, 7 years down the line, the situation has worsened. 3 or 4 times more what pertained under the MPP administration. And now we have to wait for the flood and fire to then say that in a matter of weeks we have to throw these people out. So the issue is that we need to still do something about evacuating or evicting those settlers from there. But what contingency plans have we put in place? It cannot be an overnight thing. Now as you go there, you see people stranded and everything has been destroyed, but you see that they don't have any intention of moving away. So are they going to be left in the open? Are they going to be at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather? That will not be good enough for us. Our conscience will not even allow this. So the government should come out. These are the plans that we have for this whole project, A, B, C, D. Then, if you remember very well, last part of 2012, there was this huge issue about Conti project. Government is going for so much money, almost $700 million, to clear all this mess. As we speak, no steps have been taken, and then government has not told us why the money that the Parliament approved, the Exim Bank arrangement from the US and the $125 million from Stan Chart Ghana, what has happened to it? And if even in 2012, come 2013, the president himself went to break ground that we starting this huge project and this will solve all the problems in that place. As we speak, nothing has happened. So these are the questions that they should answer.
What did the AMA boss say with respect to whether the exercise was still going to be going on?
As far as we are concerned, the AMA boss said he was going to continue with the exercise. 1. 2, I can quote him. He said that he is not obliged to find a place for them to settle. He's only concerned about the provision for the traders, which he thinks that the Adjen Kotoku place should still be looked at so that they can move the traders, but nowhere is he obliged to look for homes or accommodation for those who have been displaced or those who are to be displaced because of the exercise. But indeed, if you go there, it is true that people have built structures even on the banks of the lagoon, and then obviously if you don't do anything about it, it's already a tragedy, but it will be even more tragic because people will lose their lives in heavy numbers, and then we all start wailing that why did we allow this to go on. So it's something for the government to tell the whole country and the world how they're going to solve it. and what we all need to do to assist them in solving it.
It's interesting because the Deputy Local Government Minister says a different thing in terms of their plans. They're even giving people some money so that they can return back home, those who want to. And then we heard a Deputy Minister of Housing also say that there are some plans to put up some form of houses for some of these people to move into them. Do you have the sense that with that conversation that the committee had with the AMA boss that they're working together in terms of we're talking the Ministry of Housing and also the local government ministry. Do you feel that these three institutions are working together?
Well, that's not the impression I get, and it's politics eating into it, because you hear some complaining that if we are not careful, we lose all our votes. The AMA boss to tell you that this is something that we need to do to address what is going on, otherwise we would not be justified in this kind of situation. But as I said, the government has not come out in a bold manner to convince some of us that indeed they back fully what is going on, or they have contingency plans for addressing this situation. It's emergency. The president himself went there. The president made the pronouncement that indeed this is something that we need to address, because otherwise it will be worse. It will be a calamity. AMA boss goes ahead, but he didn't seem to have any plan B for the fallout. His is that clear the place, clear the place. But you are dealing with human beings. Clear the place, where are you sending them? Clear the place, where is the contingency plan? That doesn't appear to feature in his discussion or his arguments. The only thing is that I have the authority to clear the place. The court did not stop the government from doing it as far back as 2002, and then the fact that the court did not say that I should build a place for them before I do this. And he even brought in that interesting aspect that if I go and build settlement for them, probably somebody will cite me for contempt, which is neither here nor there. It's not true. If you're building settlements for people to move in, there's no court which will stop you from doing that, unless of course the land doesn't belong to you or you are encroaching on somebody's property. But the bottom line is that as at now, the government doesn't appear to speak with one voice. The government doesn't appear to have any policy in place to address this. The government appears to be looking at the political fallout more than anything, and it is not looking good at all.
So what does Parliament plan to do as a committee? What's your plan? You are representatives of the people.
Well, we went there. We'll produce our report. As I said, I have put in urgent questions as far back as almost 10 days ago. I understand next week those questions will be admitted for the ministers to come and answer. And by tomorrow, when the business statement is read, it will confirm whether next week these ministers will be appearing. And I'm expecting the Minister for Finance to tell us the status of the funding for the whole project, why the funding has stalled. And I'm asking the Minister of Local Government Rural Development what plans they've put in place to avert major flooding in the capital city and all the regional capitals.
Then where does that leave you as members of Parliament? Okay, so that's the Member of Parliament for Accra himself, also a member of Parliament's Committee on Local Government and Rural Development, Osei Bonsu Amoa, in a chat with me on the demolition exercise that's been carried out by the AMA. He thinks that governments really, or the institutions involved in this, they seem confused and divided. They are not speaking with one mind. Lots of questions being raised, and we'll get into a lot more details and try and see if we can find some answers for you. But Kinstel Hotel is a 3-star hotel located in the very plush area of Takoradi, the oil city of Ghana. If you're going for a weekend, if you're traveling to the western region, this is one place that you can find some comfort. It has 62 rooms made up of standard rooms, deluxe and executive suites. High-speed internet, both cable and wireless, can be accessed at Kinstel Hotel. Kinstel Hotel also boasts of banquet hall that can comfortably accommodate 500 people in the room. So if you're planning, you know, an exercise for a whole organization, you know that they have the room to accommodate you as well. Kinsdale Hotel has a gym, pool, children's playground, and a tennis court as its leisure facilities. And their restaurant serves both local and continental dishes prepared by competent chefs. And the good news also is that they have a farm that supplies their F&B department with fresh vegetables, fruit, and fish, so you can trust the source. They have a purified water plant for guaranteed clean drinking water within the hotel, and there's a live band available for entertainment. You can hardly find this in one hotel, but it's available here at Kinsdale Hotel. It's a 3-star hotel in a plush area in Accra. If you want to get in touch with them, here are the numbers, or this is the number to call: 0248 6982222. If you're calling from outside, remember you have to do the +233 0248 698222. Or you can also email them info@kinsdalehotel.com, info@kinsdalehotel.com, and Kinsdale is KINGSTEL, kinsdalehotel.com in Takrady. Go there and let them pamper you a bit. You've worked so hard and you deserve it. But let's get into talk now. My guest, Alhaji Halidu Haruna, who is a member of the NDC communications team, and will also be joined pretty shortly by Alhaji Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, NPP parliamentary candidate for the Medina area, former Minister for Works and Housing, and a former Member of Parliament for East Gonja. But we'll get the conversation underway with Alhaji Halidu Haruna. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mama.
As you were listening to Obi Amwa make his comments, you had something to say. So let's start on that note.
Well, certainly I listened to him, and I was actually raising an issue in respect of lack of honesty on the part of many of us who are politicians, depending on where you stand. And at any point in time when we speak, we sometimes decide to actually hide the aspect that certainly exposes us, and we want to highlight the aspect that makes us to look good. And I think that that kind of attitude doesn't augur well for us as a country. It's important as politicians to be fair in presenting the facts, because facts are sacred. We cannot actually pick and choose. Now, in respect of this issue about the demolition at Sodium and Kuba, the new Fadama, I first of all want to sympathize with the affected victims, but it is important to also make the point that we are building a country. And as we build a country, the priority is that we look at what is in the collective good of the people than only looking at the narrow empirical interest. Now, Obiamo in his submission indicated that they secured a court judgment to demolish the slum, but unfortunately, according to him, because of pressure from the opposition, they were unable to actually demolish that.
They were supposed to get a place prepared for relocation before they carry through that judgments.
You see, when the court actually made a pronouncement, there was a move by the AMA then under the New Patriotic Party to carry out the demolition. But there was a political fiat that stopped it, because we believe that doing that will affect our fortune. That was a fact. And we should not be running away from some of these things. You recall, President Kufuor openly, when Adjen Kotoku was actually decongesting Tema Station and some part of the Accra Central, he publicly, during Christmas time, publicly asked Adjen Kotoku to stop from doing that. Now, when you have political influence on appointees of government who are expected to ensure that we do the right thing and shaping the planning of our cities, and those on authority are always popping their nose in there, we create situations like this where somebody will come and the person would have to actually hold the bull by the horn and ensure that he acts in the way that is acceptable. Today, as we speak now, it is not something that is exciting on the part of government to actually demolish the place, but the disaster that occurred, look at the number of people that we've lost. And indeed, if it were to happen in other countries, we would have described it in all manners of ways. We have manslaughter, etc., people's own conduct. Now, when you look at where they are residing, I do not think that many of them, if they have an alternative, where the alternative is so much it is decent as compared to where they are, they would like to live there. My only difficulty is that this could have been done in a manner by at least going there to notify them that, look, within this period of time, this is an action we want to take. In taking that action, these are options available to you. You can decide to take which of the options available. If you fail to do that, any action that will result in you failing to take advantage of the option available to you, that is actually something that you must grapple with. That is actually an aspect that I think that the AMA hasn't done, and which I think that they quickly, having realized that, decided to put those contingency measures by.
How hard was it to properly coordinate things before carrying out the exercise?
That is a very critical question, because we have institutions like NADMO, AMA, etc. In carrying out this major exercise, there should be that coordination between these two institutions where information flow would be easy, where NADMO will know what to do at what point in time. Now, when those structures have not been put in place, NADMO will also just react on the spur of the moment and to create some kind of disorders. But having realized the mistake, government then decided that, look, we are making available transport for you. We are making available some money that you can also be able to board a transport.
So is there a clear government plan now? Because that's also been one of the issues.
There is, because I do know that the Member of Parliament has made available some transport, and then he has also managed to get other areas to accommodate some of
As in Member of Parliament for Dodo
Diodio, who is also a Deputy Minister of Local Government, which AMA fall under him. And now I know, as a matter of fact, that if the minister has that authority to stop this, he would have done that. This action is a necessary evil that has to actually be.
But do you realize that the Deputy Minister of Local Governments and the AMA boss seemed to be on different sides? The AMA boss wanting to go ahead with the exercise, and Neil Van der Poy, the Deputy Minister of Local Government, also having some reservations.
No, I think that has to do with a different area that's around Buku. When the AMA...
No, way after that incident. We're still talking Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, it is actually the agreement. According to the Deputy Minister, he indicated that there was some agreement with the resident, the leadership of the resident, that yes, carry out the demolition, but between the residents and the AMA agreed that they will be doing that within 50 meters from the Kwale Lagoon. Now, according
but we
to
all
them,
know that they went beyond that.
They are reporting that they have gone beyond what they have agreed. And that actually created the upheaval and then the disagreement. And then that resulted in that demonstration that the people were violent and attacking police and anybody that they meet on the way. But the point I want to emphasize here is that, look, we have laws in our country. We do not enact laws just to go and keep them in ourselves or in our offices. They are supposed to work. They are supposed to operate. Now, in doing that, there are institutions mandated by those laws, by the Act, to enforce the laws. And AMA certainly has to do that. I, as a city, sympathize with many of those who have suffered, who are victims, but hey, it is a necessary evil that government has to take and ensure that at least we protect the collective interests of our people.
So what do you know about the places where they are supposed to be relocated to? We know that there have been some objections by the owners of these lands.
Well, I think that, under our laws too, the government has the authority to compulsory acquisition of land. Government can actually activate that particular authority that the law allow or mandate the government to do so. Yes, chiefs may resist, but I think that sometimes dialogue and diplomacy can result in some sort of agreement. So probably you expect the resistance. It is normal that chiefs would say no, will not accept the relocation of these people. But if government indeed is committed in ensuring that we get the land, government will certainly be able to get the land by engaging the chiefs and allowing reasons to prevail. So I have no difficulty whatsoever with the pronouncement of the chiefs. It is within their right to say that no, we own the land, we are not going to make it available. And that is why under our laws, they say that government can compulsory, that one is by force, take a land for the purpose of ensuring that they provide the service that will benefit.
Would government trigger that action if the chiefs still?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that it will not get there. It's just a matter of engaging them and then talking to them. I mean, they are human beings. They may have their reservation. In engaging them, those reservations can be brought on the table, and indeed, government can also look at those reservations and address them. When those reservations are addressed, certainly they would give in and allow, look, these are citizens of Ghana, and every citizen of Ghana is entitled. He can stay everywhere so long as he will behave in a manner that is acceptable to all. And I think that those of them who lived in that slum, over the years, even though some of us have some reservation in respect of certain conduct, but they have managed to live within the remit of the law, in that respecting the traditional rulers, traditional laws of our country. You recall, or you know, as a matter of fact, that the Ghana state has a rule that a certain period of time you need not to engage in certain noise making, etc. They do. They respected those things. So I think that we have to engage and then ensure that at least all reservations, all concerns are addressed. And then I'm sure many of the victims have decided even to leave Accra. They've gone back to their hometowns. Many of them have left. And the few who are around are only looking for the alternative provided. I have listened to the Ghana South, Ghana West, that is Namasama area, saying that they have a vast land there. Even though in his pronouncement he said that those lands are not going to be used for residential purposes, but they are going to actually establish a market there so that we can relocate.
Are they willing to relocate though?
It's not about them willing. They have no option. Do they have an option? They don't. If you have no option, you do with what is available to you.
Is that what the politicians are telling them? Because, you know, my fear is that we're communicating a different thing to them on the ground when we meet them. And then to everybody else, we're saying another thing.
No, the point is that I don't know what is being communicated to them on the ground. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, government is doing his best to ensure that at least they are provided with comfort. And it is not actually something that is exciting, as earlier on indicated. We are all not happy about it. But this is a necessary evil that has to be done. It is something that has to be done to ensure that at least we clear the lagoon so that we can have free flow of water.
But going forward, you know that there are some structures still standing. Is there a way to convince those people, you know, to relocate as well?
There is a way, because I think that there is no problem that cannot be surmounted. Problems can be surmounted, however bigger those problems can be. When you go back to them and engage them in discussion. You see, I keep saying that politics has made all of us to become lawless. We know the right thing. We know this is black, we know this is red. But because of politics, we want to blend the color and tell a different story. Look, it's important.
Do you do that too?
Well, I try. I endeavor to avoid those things. I endeavor, but I'm human. At certain point in time, you find yourself in such situation and you need to do that. But at least in our own mind, when we do that, you go back, you go out there and you ask yourself, why did you do this? But sometimes circumstances compel people to do that. But it's not the best of options. It's important that our black should be black, our red should be red, so that at least the people would exactly know that we are voting for somebody who is coming to ensure that indeed he will do the right thing, not that he's coming to play with our emotions.
Should we destroy all the structures at Old Fadama now? I mean, should we take opportunity of what is happening and do it once and for all?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if we have a bigger, an alternative for them, then yes, we should take advantage of this timing and get everybody off the place, so that at least the land there can be used for. Look at what KMA boss has done in terms of that park that's here, a beautiful place. At least that can even attract some foreign exchange for Kumasi, etc. So it is about thinking, and I think that if we are able to engage the traditional leaders and get a land that we can relocate these people, we should take the advantage.
But why are we even talking relocation? Because they certainly came from somewhere. They could go back.
Yes, government are voted to provide facilities and ensure that life is better for those who voted for them. Now, you cannot, when the person is actually thinking that Accra is the city, that I can also be able to do my legitimate work to earn a living. You cannot force the person that leave. Now, that person actually refusing to go back to his hometown. And you see, this situation has even raised a serious setback in respect of the development of the northern part of our country. Should we have the northern part of our country develop, I do not think that there will be any incentive for anybody to leave the north and come back to Accra for work that are not even available. Yesterday, I met a few of them, and the way they were speaking, you could see the pain. And they're saying that even laboring work is even difficult for them even to get. Now, if you know that, why would you want to stay in Accra and continue in that pain? So I would want to advise many of them who are farmers, they have parents who are farmers, they can go back to the north and help in doing the farming. I recall under the New Patriotic Party, there was this policy of getting some farming activities within the 3 northern regions, because it has actually been realized that many of the conflict occurred as a result of idleness. You have many of the young men who are energetic sitting idle. You move to the north, every part of the place you see bees, young men sitting there. Now, under the New Patriotic Party, there was a proposal that, look, let's get a mango farming, because mango actually survived throughout the period. So at least when we have a mango farming and then these young men are operating there, they would be engaged. So nobody would come with any interest to influence them to engage in conflict. Unfortunately, that policy has never seen the light of day. You recall the importation,
bringing it back to life.
The importation of the mango seedling that got rotten under Kasim Kasanga, Professor Kasim Kasanga, as environment minister at that point in time, because those seedlings were supposed to be used to actually kickstart the policy. Now, you ask a question.
Yeah, but if it's a good policy, why didn't you bring it back alive?
As we speak now, under SADA has a mango plantation, just to do with the previous policy of the MPP that failed. SADA has done that. But you see,
hasn't SADA also failed a couple of times?
Well, certainly, SADA suffers some setbacks as a result of certain actions or certain things that did not actually augur well for the image of SADA. But having said that, His Excellency the President has actually looked at and reorient the SADA governing body, and they are determined to ensure that they do what is right, to ensure that many of the young men who are not working will certainly have something doing. So I have no doubt in mind that this government remains committed in ensuring that it offers what is important and what will be comfortable to the citizens of our country, particularly those of us who are coming from the northern part of our country.
Okay, let's move to... All right, so we've been joined by Alhaji Abubakar Sadiq Boniface. He's an MPP parliamentary candidate for Medina and also a former Minister for Works and Housing and a former Member of Parliament for East Gonja. So thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I still do have Alhaji Halidu Haruna, who's a member of the NDC communications team. But let me get your take on this relocation exercise that's being carried out with the objections that the landowners, either at Adjen Kotoku and Pokwase, are given to governments.
Okay, when you talking about Adjen Kotoku and Old Fadama, because I prefer calling it Old Fadama.
Yeah, definitely, sure.
To
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, it dates back all the way to 1960 and how it was relocated to New Fadama. And subsequently, there were certain actions that were taken, you know, right from 1980. There were 2 groups of traders that were sent there, you know, temporarily. And then somewhere in 1991, when this country was holding the NAM Alliance Conference, Non-Allied Alliance Conference, which is mnemonically called NAM, all the hawkers were moved from the streets to Old Fadama. And then somewhere in 1993, yam owners were also pushed there. And then in 1995, the unfortunate incident that occurred in the north, that has to do with the conflict, Konkomba Nanumba War. We had a flood of refugees, that is the movement of people running away from the conflict. When they came, the easiest place to take them was Old Fadama.
Because then they could relate.
Exactly. But that place, anybody who understands Hausa, the name Fadama talks of a valley, a marshy area. So looking at it, it tells you that it's inhabitable. You see how it is? Okay. So looking at it, and in 2002, the government made a move through AMA. In fact, the AMA boss decided, went to court to get a court eviction order.
We're very familiar with
it failed.
that
It was
episode.
unpopular because the most important thing is that before you take an action, you must be looking at the end result and what will happen. The resultant is the most important thing. So before you move a people from a place, you must be looking at the end result.
Was it the pressure? Was it the pressure that the opposition then was given you as a government? That's why you didn't carry through that action.
Not really, because it was even the president that requested for the stop of it, even though some people took it to court. You see how it is? Because immediately at that time, if we were moving them from Old Fadama, where were you taking them to? Where were you going to relocate them to? You see, let's take Old Fadama.
You were working on Adjen Kotoku?
Yes. You see, no, we were not then working on Adjen Kotoku. Get my,
so you were just going to get them away?
What happened was that 2002, not 2007. It was the incident that occurred in 2002 that precipitated the President J.A. Kufuor, calling on us to go and look for funding and bring in a better arrangement into play. That's how come there was a committee that was formed, PSAC, that is the Permanent Site Acquisition Committee. You see how it is? And that particular project was not only for Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing. It was a collaboration between ministries, sector ministries. You had Ministry of Tourism and Modernization of the Capital City, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, and Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. So you see, all these ministries had the opportunity to play their part. And so if you look at the project in its entirety, it was supposed to be in 2 parts or 3 parts. You had one that had to deal with sanitation and waste management, and the other had to deal with the relocation of the people from Old Fadama to Adjen Kotoku. The acquisition of the land at that time was 800 acres, and things were put in place because in sending them there, you must give them a more modernized, a more serene place where people will live better.
Was accommodation part of it?
Of course. You know, what was to happen was that out of the whole lot, the arrangement, they will have put up police posts, a health center, school, and then the stalls. The plan for the stalls was supposed to be in a, I don't know the term they use, but in a chamber and hall type, where you have the hall being the store and the chamber being
like a bedroom.
Exactly. And the arrangement too was that once you get the opportunity to get a store of that nature, you are not going to pay cash. It was to be staggered, where you pay in bits and pieces through the tolls that we're collecting for between 10 to 15 years.
So what happened?
And then, well, in 2007, we went in for the loan. The loan was finally gotten in 2008. I placed it before Parliament, and it was approved by Parliament. It was a general consensus. We agreed. And before that we started the project, I had met all the leadership of the various groups in Old Fadama, both traders and the ethnic groups that existed there. And after meeting them individually, I then pulled all of them together as a group, living in that place, and then met them, because if I met you as an individual, the message you might carry to your people might be different from what I had earlier told you. So after saying all this, I then invited all the various groups and their ethnic groups to my office, and then held another meeting with them. Based on that, because if you look at the yam market, I don't know whether I wish the Konkomba chief is still alive. I went there, met them, and even made a temporal arrangement of a yam market at Ablekuma. So that, because you couldn't just move them just a go. It had to be in phases. So for them, I decided to get Ablekuma, which was agreed. They accepted, and based on that, at a consensus, based on our consensus, I decided to.
So this was in 2008?
You see, and then the road on the dual carriage to Insawam, the distance from the road to the main township is about 4.5 or 4.5 kilometers. It had been tarred. And then the necessary demarcations and arrangements, they had started with the drains, tarring of the various streets in the market, because you need to carry out the physical, economic and social infrastructure, put them in place before you start the actual construction of the buildings and other things. But then, when they started, that time never permitted us to live long, because in 2008 was too short for me. We were kicked out. We accepted it, and then we expected that once we are out, governance must continue.
Did you leave the money behind?
Do we carry monies along with us? The question is, do we carry monies along with us? No.
Was the plan obvious for everybody to continue?
Yes, otherwise why should Parliament approve? Because let me tell you, when you place any financial package or any loan before Parliament, it has to go through a serious scrutiny. It has to go to the Finance Committee. Apart from that, if it has a project, let's say water or road is under infrastructure, you will have a joint committee that will have to go and sit down and look at it. Look at the terms and conditions of the facility, and also see whether it is feasible physically, that is feasible for the usage of that facility and the project to be undertaken.
Okay, so before you left office,
let me just clear the air, because asking whether we had carried the money or left it, nobody carries the money.
I'm still on that issue. Yes. So I want to know, in terms of infrastructure, what did you leave behind?
Well, for now, I cannot tell you exactly, because everything was in the handing over notes, and the technical men are still there. You see the problem.
So you would not know out of that loan amount how much you spent, for instance.
Oh, the out of the money, 10 million euro was used. It was spelled out clearly. That was for acquisition, for the preliminary works to be done. When you go there, you see works have been done there. But that's why I said the project is supposed to be in two phases. First phase, you saw the storm drains are part of it. The storm drain you see, those big gutters, that's what we call storm drains. So that whatever water that is coming, it can collect it.
So how much money, did we acquire in terms of the loan?
Well, I placed before Parliament 72 million euro.
Okay,
which
and that was what was approved
from bank KBC Bank of Belgium.
And out of that 72, we used 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you remember.
Yes, that's what I remember.
But we didn't start the houses though. We didn't put up in terms of the stores and the bedroom.
No.
We didn't get to that phase.
They started with the structures, but I couldn't go there after handing over.
Okay.
Because I'm no longer, a political figure that has to go there and do those inspections.
Okay.
That would be illegal. It is the duty of the incoming government. NDC has to do that, not MPP.
So how does it make you feel, in knowing that you had a solid plan that if you had time you could have carried through, and you expected another government to take it over, and we're still here with that same situation confronting us?
You see, that's the problem of Ghana. Sometimes we don't behave as nationalists. We behave as partisan activists. When partisanship takes over, one's belief in as a nationalist, that is where we have the problem. You see, there must be a cutoff point, whether we like it or not. We need to tell ourselves the truth. When we stop the falsehood, then we will begin to know that we are bringing better development to this country. We must have a general, particular document that should guide us. Now, if you remember, when we were exiting, the transition period was awkward. There was no proper transition. Both governments regretted it because it was very, very important. Why I say so is because, you see, if I'm in MPP and I'm going out and Alidu is coming as NDC, he said, brother, we are all Ghanaians. We only have different political ideologies. But the most important and most paramount has to do with development. You see how it is. He wants, let's say, cat's meat to chop today. It doesn't matter whether you put it in the sack or you are bold to slaughter it. By the end of the day, it's the cat's meat you want. So any politician who goes campaigning is about development. When you get leadership, that is what you need. And unfortunately, during the transition, you are here. You were here in this country. There wasn't any better, transition and better handing over notes, between one minister to the other. Even sometimes, the same government, you have a reshuffle. When a minister moves from his ministry, or he has been reshuffled and a new one comes, he finds it difficult to tell him exactly what he's done and how to hand over the news to him. So
that may have also contributed to the fact that this was not continued.
Exactly so, because if there was proper handing over, or if the minister that came in, the technical men had brought before him, say, this is the document, you may go through. If you have a problem, we walk you through, tell you exactly where the project had reached, how we have to go, the shortfalls, you indicate everything. And then the minister will now be filled in. He will now be part of the project. But if the minister probably had come to the ministry for the past 7 years and had not heard anything because there's no problem at Old Fadama and there's nothing going on at Adjen Kotoku, he also sits down aloof. Nothing goes on until a problem heats up.
I'll come back to you with what should we do now. But Halidu's been listening quietly, and I'm sure he wants to say something.
Well, I have difficulty with his narration, but having indicated that they submitted a handing over note, he came back to indicate that because of lack of cooperation, the handing over, the transition wasn't too good. Now, he also he said about, actually he talked about the nature of the stores. Recently I saw on the news the nature of the stores. The stores are not as he described.
But he says that the plan was that they're in phases. They're going to get to...
He said they are putting up the stores where the stores will be in a form of chamber and hall. And then the hall would be the living room, and then there's bedroom, and then the store can be used in transaction or running your business. That was what he said. And I'm saying that the cameras did not actually capture what he's saying. The structures are there. So at least it's easier to find out whether indeed what he said was true.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that what he's saying now is not in conformity with what is on the ground at Adjen Kotoku as we speak now.
And you're saying this because of the pictures you've seen on television?
Yes. It's just the normal structures of the market where you have only the shade shown there. I saw them. But you see, I agree with him. When we allow partisanship to cloud sometimes our judgment, it creates some kind of difficulty for us. But my brother knows somewhere in 2008, the MPP government had difficulties in running the economy of our country. And they had to even dispose of properties belonging to our state to actually support the running of the economy. And many
we're not going to the general economy.
Many of the many of
what
the
I want you to understand is that
were actually diverted in different areas.
So you're saying
come onto
that
the
money,
subject
that
matter
72 was diverted. Is that what you're saying?
That's why when you ask him,
let me actually get it right.
Whether he has handed over, whether
this is not about propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
No.
You've not been you've not been able to tell us whether you've handed over that. You indicated that you don't carry cash, yes. But I'm saying that in terms of handing over.
Let me tell you about one thing. No, when we take a loan, please.
Loans are not taken and they're diverted. You can divert it.
Listen.
We
have not varied it.
Are you saying the diversion based on something solid that you
might be able
to prove that? That's why he said that he secured the loan.
Exactly.
He said that. And the amount of 10 million euros was used in actually doing the first phase. It means that a balance was left. And I'm saying that as he sits here, he has not been able to tell you.
But he did indicate that because of time, because they had to go out of government.
You see, that's what I'm saying. In 2008, they had difficulty with finances.
Okay, please, let's get a reaction.
You see, Alidu, don't mislead the people. The whole country and your own MPs, honorable MPs who are still around will tell you that what I'm saying is a fact. There's no.
I'm not disputing that
you have said it. I kept quiet.
I'm not arguing with you that you've not secured a loan.
You see what
I'm saying that you have diverted.
We have not diverted any money.
Okay.
First of all, the 10 million was used. Go back and check the document. The Hansard is there. 62 million that was added was secured.
You left to who? You said you left it to.
Yeah. Where do loans go to? First of all, if you don't know, I'll tell you the structure as to how loans are secured.
Let's not go there now.
No. Because he's talking about diversion. I don't want that sort of thing. The most important, when you secure a loan in this country as a government, the lodging place is Bank of Ghana.
But Halidu, that would be difficult.
Let me tell you, he doesn't know about how loans are secured.
You see, in Parliament, when loans are approved, you have situations where the minority accuse even this current government that they've approved a loan for a certain purpose. Just the Conti project. Let me even cite the Conti project as an example. They indicated that they have approved the loan, but yet government has diverted the money into something.
But so is it not possible?
No, I'm telling you that your money that you've secured.
Listen, if you don't know, and I'm telling you, Bank of Ghana is there. The Ministry of Finance is still around. Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing is around. Ministry of Tourism is around. Ministry of Local Government is still around. They have not been dissolved. And the most important thing you know is that they are in phases. One, the restoration. You see, unfortunately, people don't want to accept.
Do you know the structures that exist now? What he's talking about, what he's seen on television.
You can go and see aesthetic, physical structures.
Your TV station that even I watch the news.
Excuse me, those storm drains, those big gutters, right from Circle Alajo all the way to Old Fadama, it was part of it. Ask yourself whether since 2007 we have been able to desilt these drains, the storm drains. You know that what happened a few weeks ago is not God. It's a warning from God, but it's not the fault of God. It's our man-made that caused it. Check. For the past 7 years, these drains have not been desilted. And you know the reason why? It's siltation. Little water into the river or into the gutter will overflow its banks. And that is what caused the havoc. When we talk about our Volta Lake, ask whether this country has ever attempted to desilt the lake or dredged the lake.
So what do we do now?
This is a wake-up call. This is the time we should be thinking of dredging our lakes, desilting our gutters, and make sure that we do it at the right time. You don't wait until when the rain starts before you begin to desil gutters. You desil them 2 or 3 months before. That's what the technical mind will tell you. Now, there was an audit report. I just saw it yesterday. This audit,
in 2002.
yes,
Yeah, that one.
2002,
yes.
which was talking about overflow of the banks of these gutters if you don't desilt it. Okay.
And they talk about the covert, the way it was done.
Because
My
of time.
friend,
Because
you
of
see,
time.
that report was 2002.
2002. Yes.
Meanwhile, this one were done in 2007. That even saved us because people were doing flat drains. We came out with V-shape. That is why today, when you see contractors...
No, the audit report complained about the covert at Circle.
That was 2002.
2002, yes.
And I'm saying, based on that report, we came out with the design of V-shaped gutters. That is why you see contractors, when they are constructing drains today, it is V-shaped. It is no longer flat. Because when it is flat, it has its own problems.
Well,
you see how it is.
I'll hide your body face because of time. You know, we have to end this
but
conversation.
you must learn to accept the truth. Don't go around. You know it.
But I
when
want to,
it is there for
before we
NDC,
go.
I tell them the truth. So when he sees the truth, he should say
But
it.
you know me.
But
You know me,
before
I
we
speak
go,
the truth.
Yes.
Before we go,